Welcome to tonight's cruise chat for Canadians. If you're new, welcome aboard. Every week we do a live chat, mostly on Wednesdays, and a live chat usually consists of a topic, a cruise topic of some sort, and then we open up the stage to answer some of your questions based on the topic of the evening or any other cruise related questions. Tonight we have Linda, and we also have Lisa, who has joined us, and I think Trisha is trying to join us as well. So without further ado, I'll hand this over to Lisa, and she'll give us all the information related to travel insurance.
Thanks so much, Luke. Well, good evening, everyone. Hopefully everybody has been enjoying the beautiful sunshine today, and I thought we would just jump right into some frequently asked questions. I get a lot of people messaging me and calling me, and these are kind of the three big questions, but I'm always here to answer anything else after the presentation when we're done. So the first one is, what are all the reasons that I can get my 100% money back with my cancellation insurance? So that's the first question. So if we can just flip to the next slide. Perfect. So we have 27 reasons. Now there's two parts of the cancellation insurance, and the first part is you get 100% back, and that's your 27 reasons. So most importantly, if you or your travel companion develops a medical condition, this is why you should always, always, always book your insurance as soon as you book your trip, because anything that happens between when you pay for your insurance and that trip will then be covered. And that's kind of the number one thing that is why it's so important to buy your insurance when you book your trip. The next important thing is a member of your immediate family key person, member of your travel companion's immediate family, or their key person develops a medical condition. So this is a really good point. My sister-in-law had a trip booked, and her son was in a football game and completely cracked his knee open. And they had to cancel their trip, and that's when that comes into play. It's a really, really important coverage because you just never know what's going to happen. And then if your friend or the person whose guest you will be during your trip is admitted to the hospital for an emergency. So anytime that, 24, 48 hours ahead of time, you don't know what's going to happen. But if that ends up happening, then you get 100% of your money back. And then it's your medical condition is the fourth reason, which if you get a doctor's letter, and you don't always need a doctor's letter, obviously, for something that happens, but it does help. So if it prevents you or your travel companion from participating in any kind of event, or the purpose was to participate in that event. So if you had a golfing trip, for example, or you were going on a vacation to scuba dive and something prevented you from going and doing those types of events, that's where that would come into play. Not so much when it comes to cruising, but it is a really, it is there. So it is nice to know that. And then if you aren't able to be immunized, or preventative medication, this would apply more to, say, you're going to maybe Africa and you do need to get some of those mandatory immunizations. And if you can't get them based on a medical history, 100% of your money back. Then a couple other random things, but it does happen. Sickness or injury of your service dog, you or your spouse or travel companion or spouse are quarantined. So those are our major medical events, which pretty much everything's covered in there. And then we're going to move on to number 8. Thank you. Now, the next one, if you or your spouse or travel companion become pregnant after you book. So this is really important. So look at the dates and try and just read into that a little bit. If you or your spouse or travel companion become pregnant after you book your trip and your departure date falls in the 9 weeks before expected delivery date. So that's really a time that you shouldn't be traveling, as we all know. And if you do need to cancel, you have the insurance. So it's very, very handy. Then you or your travel companion, any complication within the first 31 weeks. So you're going to notice with those pregnancy dates, you're going to notice that you're not going to be getting the coverage in those last 8 to 12 weeks of pregnancy, just because you're at higher risk of giving birth, and you're not going to get coverage for those times. So you will have the opportunity to cancel, or you can still go on the trip, but there's that chance. So then next thing you know, if anybody develops a complication of pregnancy within the first 31 weeks, and you or your spouse or travel companion or adopts a child and the date of adoption falls during your trip. So some of the reasons are a little bit out there, but it is nice to know that if you have any of these options, it is a good opportunity. So death, which nobody likes to think about. None of us want to ever think about this happening, but unfortunately, it does happen. So if you or your travel companion do unfortunately pass away, you or your whole trip would be refunded. Then immediate family or key person, a member of your travel companion's immediate family or your key person dies. So immediate family is you or your travel companion's parents or children. So that's immediate family. So a lot of people really like to get the cancellation insurance because mom's a little bit older, dad's a little bit older, and you don't know what's going to happen. And you're not going to feel like going on a cruise if something does happen to somebody within your family. So that's a lot of reasons why people get cancellation insurance and they purchase it, is because of the family member. And then back to the service dog, provided that you are an individual with a disability. So with that, you have to actually be, labeled as disabled, and that this is your service dog. So if they can't go, then you can get a full refund, which is nice. So if we can just flip to number 16. Thank you. So other times people message and they're asking questions about, well, I don't know what my schedule is going to look like for work. So there are a lot of reasons for work and education that you do get 100% of your money back. So if you're called to service as a reservist, firefighter, military, or police during your trip, your spouse or your travel companion or your travel companion's spouse, lose a permanent job because of layoff or dismissal without cause, or you're transferred by your employer and must move from your residence. Then the cancellation. So if you book your trip and you're going on the specific trip for a meeting or a conference, it happens all the time, and or a convention. A lot of people do trips and they go to Vegas just for a convention. It happens all the time. And if the convention gets canceled, and if it was scheduled before the purchase, then, hey, Rick.
Hi.
Hi. Then you will get the opportunity to get 100% of your money back. And then if you are registered in a career course examination, university or college course on a date that occurs during your trip, provided the exam was preset and predated and the time was published before you purchased the insurance and changed after such purchase. So you can't just find out that there's going to be a test coming up and you can cancel your cruise. It has to be, there was a test on this date and then they moved it. So that one is a little bit sticky, but it still could happen. It's nice to know that you have that option. So if we can just flip on to number 20. Thank you. Now, government and legal, a lot of this is kind of far-fetched, but it definitely could happen. So then if you or your travel companion or the spouses of your travel companion are called to jury duty to be a defendant. I mean, like I said, some of these are pretty far-fetched. They aren't going to happen to everybody, but it's there if you need it. And then this one of our agents, we actually had this exact situation, number 21, last week. So we had some clients that were traveling to the Mediterranean, but they didn't have Canadian passports. So at that point, then you do have to apply for your visa to go to Europe when you have an out-of-country passport. I don't know if it's all countries, but in this example, it definitely applied, and they they were seeing if they could get the insurance because they weren't able to get their visa in time. So that one does happen, and it's actually within the last week, like I said. And then your travel companion's passport. So if it isn't issued within the time that you have requested it. So if you book your trip in 2 weeks and you buy the cancellation insurance and you don't get your passport before you go, you will get 100% of your money back. And then avoid non-essential travel and avoid all travel advisories. We just all went through COVID with this, and that's kind of the one that I would steer back to. That one. That's exactly what it was. When COVID first happened, none of us knew if our travel insurance was going to cover us. And so that's kind of what number 23 encompasses. Then we're going to move on to number 24. Thank you. So this one also is key, and it is a lot of reasons why it's very important to add your flights onto your insurance. So a lot of people just book their cancellation insurance for the cruise, which is fair because your cruise will be refunded. So with number 24 to 27, a lot of it has to do with what happens if you miss your flight. What happens if your flight is doesn't take off? A lot of these all have to do with that. So accommodations and transportation. If your house is burglarized within 3 days of your departure date, so this is a missed connection and you don't get to make your flight, then if you have to stay home, you get 100% of your money back. And then if your spouse is unable to occupy their residence or operate their place of business because of an event that is not due to a fault of your own, then you get 100% of your money back. And then our natural disasters renders your pre-booked destination uninhabitable after you book your trip. So that's a nice one to know. If you have your cruise booked and something happens that cruise is just not going because of something, 100% to your money back. And then another one, totally out there, if you get hijacked. So not a real big problem from Canada, but you never know. You never know. So those are our 27 reasons to cancel, and you will get 100% of your money back. So then let's go back. Thank you. So what happens if my reason isn't on there? So that's when you hear about cancel for any reason insurance. So cancel for any reason insurance is on 3 different plans. If we can just go to that one screen with the premium, with the information on the cancel for any reason. Well, there we go. Thank you. So this is when you book your trip and you see contact us within 72 hours. This is the insurance that has to be booked within 72 hours. Number 1, the premium protection plan. The cancel for any reason is 80% up until 24 hours of travel. It's the best you can get. And another little secret, the premium protection plan is actually cheaper if you book it within the first 2 weeks than buying plain cancellation insurance, which is your non-medical insurance plan. It's often cheaper if you buy it within your first 72 hours. So, and it's only available during that time. That's that. And it is the best cancel for any reason. And then there are 2 other plans that the cancel for any reason is applicable on, which is the non-medical inclusive, which is your cancellation, interruption, missed connection. That's that coverage plan. And then your all-inclusive plan, which is the exact same as your non-medical inclusive, but it has your medical. And both of those plans have the 50% up until 2 weeks of travel. So it's a nice little bonus on number 2 and 3, and the premium protection plan can only be purchased through travel agents. So that's kind of the cancel for any reason insurance. And that's for any of the reasons that don't apply. Your dog's sick. What other reason? You just don't feel like going, work's too busy. Unfortunately, marriages break up. Like, things happen all the time. There are so many reasons why we just do not want to go. And so it's nice to have the security of the cancel for any reason. And then we're just going to go back to the original screen number 2, slide 2. Thank you. And then The third question that I get asked a lot is about pre-existing conditions. And people message me all the time and they say, I don't think I'm insurable. Well, there's a chance that you're not insurable. There are two reasons that it's very, very hard to get insurance. And that is if you have a heart condition and if you have a liver condition, and you are on heavy medication, then kidneys and also dialysis. That would be your third one. You then have to move on to specialized underwriting. So saying that, we just bypass us, we transfer you through to Manulife directly, and you will get your own underwriter. They will take all your information and they'll do up a plan specifically for you. And the plan may not include your pre-existing condition, but you'll still be insured for everything else except for your pre-existing condition. So if you do have a heart condition, if you go and you break your foot, if you are on dialysis, that's not going to be covered if something happens due to the kidney situation. But if something happens and you miss your cruise due to weather, due to, you're still going to be covered for all of that. Medical's a little stickier, so I like to send it to Manulife because they're the professionals. We know what we're doing, of course, but they're the ones who are going to look at all the nooks and crannies and find out what they can get you. A lot of times too, if it isn't those kind of 2 to 3 circumstances, there are packages that we have for medical, and there's no medical questionnaires, which is really nice. So I don't have to send you anything. You don't have to answer 30 questions. And so the plans that you don't need a questionnaire would be your premium protection plan. So that's up to age 75. So if things aren't perfect, that is okay. As long as everything's stable within 3 months. 3 months is kind of your time frame that you need to be stable within. If you just have had surgery, we can wait a little bit to get you the insurance. Let's make sure you're that 3 months stable. And then the other plan that you can get is the all-inclusive insurance. So that's medical, cancellation, all of that fun stuff. And so there are 2 plans, the all-inclusive and the premium protection plan, that we do not need any questionnaire for, which is a really nice option as well. So those are kind of my frequently asked questions that I get asked all the time, but I'm sure there's a ton more, but I am always here to reach out to. Feel free, run your situation. Yep, there's that screen. So yeah, it is less than 20,000, but you just have to be stable prior to your insurance purchase date. And then it applies to you, your spouse, or your children. So if anything happens after that, you're covered. It's a really nice kind of comfort to know that you do have the coverage if anything happens. Do you guys have any questions at all?
Sorry, I guess
No, that's okay. I know insurance is a lot of fun to talk about. So
we do have a question, actually.
Great.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I had my mute on, so you couldn't hear me. I was talking away. So we have a question from Janine. She says, sorry, just joined. Concerned about high-level government travel advisories and insurance companies not paying out if you go somewhere, for example, Labadee, against a government advisory like do not travel. So how does that work?
So Labadee, I think, and my agents can correct me, but I think, has that been reopened yet, guys, as a port?
Yes, it has.
So one thing about cruising is these cruise ships are not going to take you anywhere that anything's going to happen that they know about. So if there is a government travel advisory, and if it's high level, I don't think the cruise would stop there. That's just, am I wrong, guys?
Absolutely right.
Yeah, they aren't in the business of putting people at risk. So I think for them to even stop at a cruise port, the advisory would have to come down.
Right.
But
So in this
regardless,
case, yeah.
yeah,
So in this
go
case,
ahead.
they're trying to protect their ships. They're trying to protect
Yeah,
their staff on the ship itself, and also their passengers. So the same way as if it's a tropical storm, or whether it's a country
exactly.
in turmoil, they will use whatever cautionary procedures they have to either decide to continue going, or avoid the area until those political and non-political turmoil actually ends.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they may
so that
substitute
doesn't, sorry, Rick.
they may substitute another island, or they may call it a day at sea instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to cruising, I don't know how applicable it would be, but if you were going to be going to Haiti during and wanted to get insurance and you were going to Haiti, I'd say there's a good chance if there was a high level, they would probably not cover it. So that is a very good question. Thank you.
All right. We have some more rolling in now.
Great.
So Eleanor says, you mentioned notifying insurance about flights. Do you have to?
So no, you absolutely do not have to notify. You don't have to add them on. All it means is that your flight isn't going to be covered for cancellation. Okay, so you're still going to get all your goodies. So when you book your insurance, we put the dates in April 1st to April 15th, whatever the dates are. So your insurance starts the second that the policy is done up for, meaning that you get your misconnection, you get all of that, the goodies that come in with the insurance as soon as the date is, but your flight will not be canceled, or sorry, your flight will not be covered in the insurance package if you don't add it onto the plan.
Great, thank you for that. I just want to say that Laura Disher Gibson says Lisa is awesome. We agree.
Oh, yay, Laura, thank you.
All right, we do have some more questions though. So Judy asks, with refundable deposits, why would we not wait until that date to purchase our insurance?
Very, very good question. So there are two reasons. Reason number one is the pre-existing conditions. So can you wait? Absolutely. Will you get canceled for any reason? You will not get that included. So we have that, a lot of these cruises are in 2027, 2026, and that's a very, very good question. Some people just like convenience. If you're going to purchase the insurance later, some people just want to get everything done all at one time. They don't have to think about it again. So that's a number one reason. And then the other reason, cancel for any reason, is included. And again, it's always a personal preference. So if something happens between now and when you do buy your insurance, none of those reasons would be included in your cancellation. So if something happens between now and then, that would then be a pre-existing condition and would not be covered. I hope I explained it properly, because it is a really good question and it is confusing.
Lisa, I have a question.
Yeah.
If a client makes a booking for the cruise and does it within 72 hours, buys the insurance so they get canceled for any reason.
Yeah.
And then later they add the flights.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. So yeah, you can add your flights on anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to have your flights booked or anything. You can add them on when you get your flights, because most people don't know what their flights are going to be in 2026 or 2027.
Yeah.
Or further.
Got it.
Now, I remember, Lisa, you said something else that sort of stuck with me the last time, and it kind of ties into this as well, is that you said that it was based on your age at the time you buy the insurance, and that can make a real difference.
Very good
Is
point.
that
Thank
right?
you. Yes. Yep. That's another good point. Insurance goes up, as we all know. It's based on your age, how much your cruise costs. And if you book it now, you're booking it at today's price instead of the price it will be next year or in 2027 or 3 months before when you do your final payment. So that's a really good point. Thank you.
problem. I'm going to pop back to Janine because she has a comment here.
Yeah.
She said that that information was that we were saying was incorrect, that Royal Caribbean told her they were going there anyway during the do not travel advisory. They felt that their security was enough and that it was far away despite the high level traffic advisory. It's infuriating because the insurance goes by the government advisory, not the cruise line security. So I guess to that is if you take away the fact that whether, the cruise lines go or don't go, but I guess the question is more to the insurance. If there's a high travel advisory and you end up there anyway,
Yeah.
are you still covered?
So that's a real tricky one. I think I'd have to delve into that a little bit further. I do not have the answer, to be completely honest with you. I do know that cruises are not going to take you anywhere. And if something happens to you, you still will be covered. Like medical wise, you're still going to be covered because that's just part of your medical coverage. I think we'd have to look into this one a little bit further, but I can see how that would be upsetting in your point. But I don't know. Labadee, to me, if you've been to Labadee before, it's very, very, very segregated, and it's very far away from what's happening in Haiti, and it's very guarded. It's almost like its own island. Am I correct, guys?
Yeah, so maybe while you're doing your research, Lisa, maybe one thing
Yeah,
to ask the insurance companies or Manulife in this case
yeah,
is, given the fact that Labadee is very different than your typical Caribbean island, where it's the whole island that becomes an issue. If you look at St. Martin, Dominican
yeah,
Republic, and that kind of stuff. In this particular case, Labadee, as you said, is very isolated, and it's only accessible by water. It can't be accessible by land because of the mountains and the way the island is actually structured. It would be like trying to cross a mountain in BC, where you either have to be a rock climber to actually get across. So in this case, yes, Labadee is very isolated. So I'm wondering if insurance company would still cover it if the cruise line still goes, especially if somebody, as an example, trips, breaks a leg, which has
yeah.
nothing to do with the political or the turmoil going on in that island. So that would be something to consider.
I'm absolutely going to look into this. And if I can just get your direct contact information, I will look into it after the call. And hopefully I can get some solid answers, because that is frustrating. And I totally see where you're coming from.
Sorry, I
Excellent.
muted myself again, so you didn't hear my breathing, but I'm going to put, because nobody needs that. I'm going to put Lisa's email in the chat.
Perfect.
And that way, you can reach out to her just so she has your contact information. And also, if you're on the chat and you want insurance or information about insurance, you'll know how to reach Lisa directly. So we're going to keep going with questions.
Yeah.
So Carol asked, does one have to buy all-inclusive at time of booking?
No, you don't have to buy all-inclusive at time of booking. You can book that anytime up until travel, if you don't care about the cancel for any reason. That's as simple as it goes. All-inclusive is the one that we have to sell after the 72 hours, and that can be booked anytime.
Great. That one was a little easier.
Yeah. The other one,
well, you threw a nice soft pitch for that one. All right. The next question comes from Vivian. She says, do some plans pay direct to medical hospitals, or do all plans need you to pay ahead and you get reimbursed?
So with Manulife, you do pay ahead. I can't talk about all plans with all different carriers, but Manulife, most of the times you do have to pay ahead. Saying that, it's always best to call them. As soon as anything happens, make the call. Because if something's going to be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, again, you never know what's going to happen, but you're not paying for your helicopter if you're getting taken off of a cruise ship. Like, that's going to be getting paid for. But small medical bills and hospital bills. So, I don't have an exact number, but you do have to pay them ahead of time and you do get reimbursed. It's a very, very easy process actually to put claims through with Manulife. There's an app. There's, you can do it online. I did a sample one yesterday. It took me about 5 minutes and it was very simple. So, unfortunately, you will be out the funds. That's why I always say take a credit card that has a pretty high limit on it because you never know what's going to happen in the case of medical.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. All right. We're going to throw Megan's comment up just because it's a fun one. She says, I love insurance. So many variables and nuances.
Yeah, you love insurance. Well, that's a rarity. Most people find it pretty boring, but there's a lot that goes into it. And that's why I get so many questions every day. And they aren't easy answers, as you can see by Janine's question. Not all of them are easy.
All right. And they keep coming. So let's hope these ones are easy ones for you. Judy says, if you have a number of cruises booked, is an annual policy a better option or an individual policy?
So the way that I like to describe it is if you have, so the break-even point, I've done this a whole bunch of times. The break-even point seems to be 2.5 trips. So if you're going to go on 2 trips, it's better to just buy single policies. If you're going on 3 trips, 4 trips, 5 trips, it's better to get an annual policy. Saying that, you do have to book your annual policy. If you're going to include the cancellation insurance, you have to book the insurance at your highest level of travel. So if you're going to the Amazon for 20 days, 25 days, I'm just pulling a place out, but if you're going somewhere for 20, 25 days and it's a $20,000 trip, you would have to get the annual plan for the highest amount. So if you have a lot of similar trips, the break-even point would be 2.5, or I always, I like to give everybody a comparison though, to kind of see what's better in your own situation, because it's based on age, it's based on cost, everything like that. So Judy, if you want me to do any quotes up for you, I'm happy to do that anytime.
Awesome. And I have to say, Lisa is awesome and she's so speedy with those quotes. She's amazing. Big show.
I try.
So Eleanor says, if you book a cruise and insurance in 2025 for a trip in 2026, and you will turn 70 before the cruise date, do you pay the insurance for a 69 or 70-year-old? I believe there is a price increase at 70.
There's, and it's a big one. Definitely you book your insurance now, you pay for the insurance when you're 69. And that's the age you are. It isn't like life insurance. So life insurance is a lot different. It's based on age. They'll do it like in 6-month increments and age you up. Travel insurance isn't like that. And so it's always best to buy earlier because you get the cheaper price. That's a really good question. Thanks, Eleanor.
And Eleanor also said that they used Manulife last year and her husband was hospitalized in San Juan and the hospital dealt with Manulife directly. So
okay. That's fantastic. And that's what I was thinking too, like probably over a certain amount. And like I said, just call in your claim the second it happens, get that claim opened up. I had a client who was texting me, believe it or not, she was stuck in an airplane yesterday and she was texting me directly. And I said, as soon as you get off the plane, as soon as you get there, because she was going to be, they were rerouted. And I said, as soon as you get off the plane, here's the phone number. Just make the call, open the claim. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be submitting paperwork while you're on vacation. Just get it opened up.
Perfect. Now, I have a question that I know the answer to, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because not everyone else may know the answer. So say you're traveling, you're not doing a cruise this time, you're doing some other travel, but you do need some insurance.
Yeah.
Is that something you can help people out with?
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm here to help our clients with vacations for Canadians. However, if you have a trip booked elsewhere, send me a message and we will definitely get the quotes out for you. So we can do up policies no matter where you're going with whoever you booked it with, even though we hope it's with us.
What if the client's American, Lisa?
That's another good question. We deal with John Hancock for our U.S. clients, and we have a lot of U.S. clients, and who are booking through Canada. So yeah, we do John Hancock, and we do that directly as well. Really good company. They are affiliated with Manulife from the States, and again, very easy to claim with both of these companies, and they have fantastic reputations.
Amazing. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. I don't have any more questions. Does anybody on the panel, because we have Lisa here with all her insurance expertise, and I know you guys are experts on the cruising, but do you have any questions that your clients are coming to you with about insurance that Lisa might be able to answer?
I send them all to Lisa right away.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it works out really well for our team. We just do everything through myself, and then I kind of can gather all the information and get it out. But again, anybody needs anything, feel free to email me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. And so I did put Lisa's email in the chat. It is just Lisa at Vacations for Canadians, and she is very quick to respond. So I don't see any more questions about cruising or about insurance. So I think that we are going to have an early night tonight. I know Rick is getting ready to head off on an exciting trip. Why don't you tell us where you're going, Rick? Make us all jealous.
Yeah, we're on a short one this time. We're sailing Friday to Monday, but we have the good luck to be in a suite this time on the Celebrity. So we're looking forward to that. I've been posting the last week, posting every day about the features and the advantages of being in a retreat. So we'll be also posting during the pictures that we usually do, and to share our experiences. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun one. Short one, but fun one.
Have a great time.
Any getaway's a good getaway, right, Rick?
That's right.
All right. And so we've got a lot of regulars in here tonight who've already won. Oh, wait. We have another question before I go too far. I was just going to say we have a lot of regulars in here, and I don't have a lot of new swag yet, so I think we're going to skip the giveaway tonight while we wait for our new swag to arrive, and we should have that shortly. But Kate does have a question, so I'm going to pop that up. She said if it was answered already, please disregard. How do you figure out the insurance through employment versus credit card versus through the agency?
Really good question. So there is a lot that goes into it. I always tell people, okay, if you have travel insurance through work, usually your work coverage is pretty good. Saying that though, it only goes to a certain age. Then you're completely cut off. Same with your credit card. Credit card, travel insurance, and we're talking about medical only right now. So medical insurance, usually it's to age 65. Some of it's 60, some of it's 68 with your super expensive credit cards. But most time, exactly, how do you decide? It's all personal preference. It's completely personal preference. So I like to tell people, again, if you have it through your work, you're usually pretty good. If you don't, then you have to go through your credit card or aftermarket, which is what Manulife is really aftermarket. With the cancellation insurance, most credit cards, I'd say there are 50% of them that have cancellation included. Just check your amounts, your work coverage, unless you're working for government, you're working for, like I've seen very few work plans that include cancellation, interruption, and all that good stuff. But most work plans, you're good with the medical portion. I hope that helps. And then again, over a certain age, you won't have any coverage at all. That's when you definitely need the aftermarket coverage.
Yeah, and Lisa, with the credit cards, there's a maximum coverage. I think it's some of them might be $1,500, some of them $2,500 per person.
Yeah.
So.
And those are usually for the cards that you have an annual fee connected to.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes. There are very, very few that do have it for free credit cards, but you're paying the fee for some benefit. But you might want to top up your insurance. That's another thing too. If you do have a certain amount of cancellation, your cruise is going to be 5,000, but you only have 1,500 per person. That's when we just top you up.
Yes, in some credit cards, you actually have to pay for your cruise with that particular credit card, or you are not
Yes.
covered.
Very, very good point. Thank you, Luke.
So that was our answer, non-answer. You got to do a little research, but we're also here to help.
Yeah, we're here to help because it's all personal preference. As long as you get, as long as you're covered, you have coverage to get you off of the cruise ship to the port. Usually they'll send you to Miami. If it's a Caribbean trip, then you got to get sent home. It's not cheap. So as long as you do have coverage, we're here to just make sure that everybody's protected.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I did hear a number. Somebody, I can't remember who told us, but somebody had to be like airlifted off a ship, and the cost was crazy, like crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will always have insurance.
Even if you just have that, honestly, it could be $50,000 to get you out. Are all insurance companies second payer? No. That's another question from Judy. It doesn't work like that, but they will ask you, do you have other insurance? And there are certain laws in Canada that they could be the second payer, they could be the first payer. That's up to insurance companies, and they'll kind of fight because they all don't want to pay, right? But they have to. Somebody has to pay for you if you're injured, if you have the coverage. But they'll fight behind the scenes, and then whoever's going to be the first payer will be the first payer. You probably won't know what's going on, if that makes sense. I hope.
And just to go back to the airlifting situation,
Yeah.
my mom was airlifted from Miami to Ottawa about 15 years ago, and it was $22,500 US, and that didn't cover the ambulance from the hospital to the airport and from the airport to the hospital in Ottawa. So,
and that's
and this
not
is 15
getting
years
you
ago.
off your cruise ship. That's
Nope,
not
exactly.
paying
So
for the doctor on the cruise ship. That's not paying all of these things you don't really think about. But really, the airlifting imagine how upsetting that would be. Regardless, you're sick, and then you have to, something happens on top of that. Horrible. I hope your mother was okay, Luke.
No, she passed away a couple of months later. But regardless, it's it makes you think that insurance is very important because it was all covered because they did have travel insurance. They were spending their winters in Florida. And as an example, so insurance is important, and it covers these surprise things that you aren't aware of, that you are at an island, you rent a scooter, you break a leg, or even worse than that, and then you have to get it airlifted back home. That's a scary proposition when you don't have life insurance or travel insurance. Sorry.
Travel. Yeah, absolutely.
So.
All right, now for real, I think we're done with our questions. We had a few comments in the chat. Megan said 100% friends didn't have insurance. Doctor said can't fly. They gave us our 10-day Mexico trip. Sucked for them, amazing for us.
Oh,
sorry for your friends. But and Janine said airlift wasn't stated, but my work insurance said they'd cover it. So yeah,
that's good.
I hope they're telling you the truth.
Yeah. It'll all be in your
so,
policy. So yeah, you can take a look at either of your policies. There'll be a full work policy from your employer, for your group benefits plan, and then you've also for your credit card. It's all in the details. Just print it out and it tells you. It's usually pretty simple to find.
I agree. And a nice closing thought from Megan, who works in insurance, as we are now finding out. This is why she's geeking out a little bit over this. As she said, insurance is what if. You have it if you need it, which is always
Yeah.
better than not. And that's a great end to our chat on insurance, I think.
Perfect.
So I'm going to pass it back to Luke to wrap things up for us.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa, for answering or doing your presentation on insurance, and then answering a lot of the nice questions we received from some of our participants tonight.
happy to help.
So we'll move on. Thank you. So we'll move on next week. Most of the I know that Tina and Karen will be back because they're heading back from the Norwegian Aqua inaugural from in New York City. I was supposed to attend the one in Boston, but due to weather, it went directly from Southampton to New York, so I never got to experience the Aqua. But they went to New York City and they're doing that. So next week we'll be doing the Galapagos, so cruising the Galapagos. So that should be interesting. I'm sure personally I'll learn a lot of different things from that presentation as well. Couple of ways you can contact us. We have our phone number here. We have sales@vacationsforcanadians.com. And this is if you don't currently have an agent or you have a generic question you'd like to ask, you can use our generic email address, or feel free to contact any one of your of our cruise travel advisors. Their contacts can be found on our website, vacationscanadians.com. And also, this is where you find our cruise deals, our exclusive rates, our contact list, and a lot of very important information that you can access. And even we have our booking tool. So take a look and do a little bit of experimenting with our website. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact one of us or sales@Vacations for Canadians. And with that being said, thank you all for joining us tonight, and have yourself a good evening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Luke. Good night, all.
Good night.